I moved back home to Austin recently after 37 years of living in Los Angeles trying to make it as an actor. It's a bit of an adjustment. However, I feel like this movie will actually help me transition to a new phase of my life. When I was a kid, I was pretty lonely. My parents were older. I spent a lot of time in front of the TV, being an only child.
Good evening, I'm Johnny Carson.
I'd be up at night listening to Carson, and my parents would already be in bed, and they didn't know I was watching Carson. But I slowly imagined myself being on that show or hosting a show like that. It made me feel less alone, so show business became my friend. When I lived in Hollywood, I amassed this tremendous collection of television and old movie memorabilia. Comic books, soundtrack albums, bobbleheads, DVDs, and autographed memorabilia. People have said I'm a hoarder when they see all of this, but I wouldn't call it a hoarder because it's organized. A hoarder doesn't organize everything. Going out to LA was the best thing I could have done. I was in my element. It turned out that the best way to get on the set would to be as an extra, so that's what I did. You don't have to be a big A-lister. You don't have to be a star. You can actually exist in Hollywood and make a pretty decent living just doing movie extra work because you're always going to be in demand. Well, I started going to these movie sets and doing this extra work, and the other extras were always the same group of people. So we all started going to parties together, and we almost became sort of a family. So one of my friends and I, from the extra group, we left and we went to a local bar and we just sat there all night talking and drinking until, well, basically the sun was coming up. And I was so tired, and I had been drinking, of course, and as the sun was coming up, my friend looked over to me and he said, "Aren't we lucky to have our stars?" And I didn't know what he meant, and I kind of thought he said, like, aren't we lucky to be stars? But I figured, we're not really quite there yet. It wasn't until later when I found out what it meant. I want to show you this one particular scene. Here it is. You can see right in the background here, there are some of the Nordics coming around, and then there was the one fella who actually looked into the camera, and that was a problem. He went away. No one ever saw him again, because the last thing you want to do is draw attention to yourself. There's a whole bunch of them in there. There were some lazy Nordics here. There were a lot of like worker drones, offshoots of the gray Roswells. I would say probably 3/4 of the extras here are from the community, various, from all over the Pleiades, mind you. Tim actually was in the film. He happened to get on the box, so this is a very rare case. And there's a lot of controversy as to whether he actually had transformed himself or not. But they overdubbed his voice because there was a certain reptilian growl involved. A lot of shape-shifting going on this one, and there was a lot of cocaine use. That's Jim. This is a dub voiceover because his voice was unintelligible. You didn't see many young ones, but that was actually an offspring right here of a Nordic. Just probably about, I would say maybe 65, 67% Nordic community here on in these scenes. That's real, that's real. Immediately, the community members, they got her and they applied the jelly. She was as good as new, like 30 minutes later. It's a scientific name that I can't pronounce, but it's a healing jelly. And you put it on any kind of wound and it just immediately seals it up. It's very magical. I was actually injured on a set once and they gave me some of the jelly. And it did heal me up. See, you can't even tell. The jelly soaks up enzymes is what it does. They explained it to me one time, but my mind was so blown by all this information. This is so exciting because this is all history and people do not know about this. I may very well be taking my life into my hands by divulging this, but I feel it's something that needs to be said, especially in the times we're living in right now. I trust you with the information. This is not for exploitation purposes at all. It's strictly in order to get the word out. Here's Meg. Wait till she looks at the camera and you're going to see she's got soroid eyes. She worked with Rutger Hauer twice. That should tell you something. And I think Jeff Bridges was aware of some of these things because if you remember in 1984, John Carpenter directed him in Starman. You know. And of course, Jodie Foster, she probably knew some things as well because Contact. Lily Tomlin and Geraldine Chaplin were in that scene, and I do believe that there's some insecticide in the Chaplin blood. They have information that Hollywood does not want released. It's that simple. Hollywood knows what's good for Hollywood. I've shown you way more than I should show you, but this movie, The Oscar, some of the Nordics wrote some of the script, and it was an expose on Hollywood. It came to VHS, but you will not find this on DVD. This Oscar ceremony that was shot for the film, packed with the community, 1965. So Bob Hope is talking to probably 75% of these people are Nordics. They got all the big stars to be part of this because they were that powerful. There was a lot of coding in this movie. It was almost a message. This is so valuable. Oh my goodness, no one can find this. But I'm in a special place, but you know all this now. I have been away from the community going on maybe 8 years or so, and I feel that there's a safe enough distance. I wish I knew where they are now. They just gave me all of this information. I have to attribute most of it to Ned. Yeah, that's him right there. That's Ned. I forgot that he dyed his hair. Ned was really good at what he did. He was able to be natural without like bringing attention to himself. Ned said that he was on the set when Warren Beatty told Robert Downey Jr. how to play a scene, some of the best acting advice that Downey said he's ever got. Even before I knew the secrets, I felt such a community with them, and I guess I call them a family because I didn't have much of a family myself. One night when I just sort of jokingly suggested to Ned about like, my goodness, I could like write a movie script about this, or I could like, you know, I could like become a pretty famous. I was making a joke. I would not even do that. And then that's when Ned looked at me and he threatened me with unimaginable pain. Stupid! What a stupid thing I did to say that to him. Things were never the same after that. But look, here I am now talking to you. How do I know you won't write a script based upon what I said? I don't.
I can't just accept that this stuff is the truth just because you tell me.
That is a very valid position here. This is not just another run-of-the-mill internet video that we're doing here. We're putting forth very important information.
I don't think you want to do this. You're opening yourself up to scrutiny that I don't think you may be prepared for.
They won't be laughing at me. It's just a chance I'm going to have to take. I don't have anything to lose. I don't have anything to lose.
What do you find is the most compelling piece of evidence that you have?
I don't. Evidence. Ned, when he did this movie, he was able to get me this autographed copy. Yeah. And I think that I clearly showed you a lot of clips which make the case.
You weren't in any of them.
It was historical footage. I was trying to explain and give you the narrative of what was happening. I'm not sure I understand the problem here. I'll be happy to show this stuff to you. Didn't you have some more questions about the message?
You told me your name.
Right.
So I was able to look you up.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Do you know the name William Statton?
I don't know what he has to do with any of this. This is not an expose about me. This is an expose about the universe that I'm trying to talk about here. And all of a sudden, you're questioning me as if I'm like some kind of a fucking nutcase. I tried to give you so much of this good information here, all this stuff I have here. Nothing! Doesn't anybody give a fuck? I appreciate your coming out and meeting me here. I'm a little embarrassed after the scene that I made. I may have overreacted a little bit. I was going to tell you a story about the secretions, I didn't get a chance to, but I actually came up with this one for you. Aliens fish with their fingers because they have these secretions that come out and it attracts the fish, you see, and then the fish come up and they bite and they take it and there is this whole thing about me going out fishing with the aliens and I guess that's all for naught. I don't know. Oh God, I took every little bit about my life and I wrote a memoir. I actually self-published a memoir. And then a couple of my friends bought it and then never heard a word from them again. I said, okay, well, I'll take this experience and I'll make it like a true crime podcast. And so I wrote this podcast out and I was about to broadcast it and then I got COVID and I just let it go. I even thought one time I would fake my own suicide on camera for YouTube, but then I said to myself, if I get like enough likes for that, I'm gonna wanna really do myself in. Since I'm so fascinated with Hollywood, this above Los Angeles, there's Dorothy Chandler Pavilion, the Hollywood sign. This is where they shot All in the Family. This is the MASH Mountain by Universal Studios and all. Warner Brothers, NBC, where Johnny Carson was. I was going, wow, if I was up in a spaceship, this is what all this would look like. And then it dawned on me, what if I was an alien looking down on LA? That's exactly what I am. I'm an alien. Everywhere, not just LA, everywhere. Hell, I was in LA one time. One time I was in Los Angeles. I went to Hanna-Barbera Studios to see where Fred Flintstone was born. When I was a kid, my parents would take me out to the lake and I'd sit on the boat dock and you could hear the tree crickets and they're all blaring out, hey, listen, I exist, I'm here. And at first you hear it and you're like going, wow, and it's kind of a beautiful sound, but eventually it just becomes background noise. You don't really hear it. And now we've got all these tree crickets on YouTube going, hey, I exist, look at me, look at me, look at me, I want attention. But it never becomes background noise, it just becomes the noise. So I have to choose Do I want to be part of that noise? Just to exist? Maybe I don't want to be part of that. Maybe I want to be a tree cricket, and it's just a pleasant noise in the background. I'd like to live a little bit longer. I guess I'm not ready to go. It's tough for us aliens. You're not going to use any of this, are you? You're not going to use any of it.